Hello and welcome to the course Verbal Ability and Reading Comprehension for CAT by me, Angad Singh. You can follow me on this URL. Let's get started with the lesson 2 on odd one out or sentence exclusion. The basics that we are going to focus on are understanding the central theme, identifying the opening sentence, and finding the logical sequence, if possible, to the paragraph. Let's get started with the questions. Its host does not know it yet, but inside his or her body, this long white parasite is reproducing and growing. Okay. Then, slowly, excruciatingly, she will break through the skin of her host's foot and release her larvae. Okay. It is just possible that the most important guinea worm in history has already found its home. Okay, so we're talking about guinea worm in these sentences. Okay. The worm feeds on this vicious cycle as much as it feeds on its human host. This vicious cycle, what vicious cycle? Through the next few months, as millions of her ancestors have done before, she will feed and strengthen in the host's body. Okay. Clearly, we're gonna start off with sentence number 3 because it's the only one that introduces which worm we are talking about, the guinea worm. Okay, history has already found its home. What home? Through the next few months. Okay, no. We need to talk about the home, maybe. Then, slowly, excruciatingly, she will break through. No. Its host. Okay, so first it is reproducing and growing, and then it will break through. Or the on this vicious cycle, as much as it feeds on its human host. This vicious cycle. Which vicious cycle? I don't think this is a vicious cycle. Okay, let's have a look. It is just possible that the most important guinea worm in history has already found its home. What is the home? Its host does not know it yet, but inside his or her body, this long white parasite is reproducing and growing. Okay, so this host is the home. The body of this host is the home of this long white parasite. It is reproducing and growing. Okay, got it. First of all, you're talking about the home of this guinea worm, and then you talk about what exactly the home is, then it will feed and strengthen, and then it will break. I can't even find the vicious cycle. I think it is sentence 4 has to be the answer, and the sequence should be what? 3. It is possible that the worm has found its home. Its host does not know it yet, but inside his or her body is this long white parasite is reproducing and growing. Then, through the next few months, as her ancestor has done, she will feed and strengthen in the host's body, and then, slowly and excruciatingly, she will break through the skin of the host's foot and release her larvae. So, it is a very logical thing that makes a good sequence. 3 1, 5 2, and 4 is the sentence that is the odd one out. Clearly. Let's move on. Their position is generally that evolution through natural selection and physical forces and principles alone is not solely responsible for the current diversity of life on Earth. What else is? Okay. Almost all proponents of intelligent design have been theists, arguing that the creator must be God. Theist means believer of God. Okay, fine. ID proponents, ID is what? Intelligent design. Okay, intelligent design is ID. ID proponents such as Michael Bay promote theories such as irreducible complexity, which posits that there are certain organs and structures found in nature that have no convincing gradual evolutionary pathway and are very complex. Okay, so we're talking about something related to God. ID is advanced by many young Earth creationists who use it to rebut the theory of evolution and, by extension, the facts that support it. Okay, I feel a little bit clueless in this one. Almost all proponents of intelligent design have been theists, arguing that the creator must be God. Almost all proponents, okay. Their position, whose position? Proponents of ID. Their position is generally okay. 2 1 seem to make a sequence. Almost all, because you're not going to refer to ID straight away. You're going to talk about intelligent design. You're going to talk about intelligent design. So if either two or four, if either of the sentences two or four is the excluded sentence, you could start off with the other one and then move on to three, using this intelligent design that you've mentioned before, and then go on to talking about it as ID. Okay. So what we can do is we can try starting off with sentence 2. It looks like a good opener to me. Almost all proponents of intelligent design have been theists, arguing that the creator must be God. Fine. Their position is generally that evolution through natural selection and physical forces and principles alone is not solely responsible for current diversity of life on Earth. Okay, so they're saying that natural selection and survival of the fittest and evolution and all that stuff is not the only thing responsible for the diversity of life on Earth. There is something else, the God factor. Okay. ID proponents such as Michael Prey promote theories such as irreducible complexity, which posits that certain organs and structures found in nature have no convincing gradual evolutionary pathway and are very complex. Okay. Intelligent design is advanced by many young Earth creationists who use it to rebut the theory of evolution and, by extension, the facts that support it. Okay. Has to start off with 2. Intelligent design is advanced by many young Earth creationists who use it to rebut the theory of evolution. Okay, got it. There is this young Earth creationist. Sentence 3 is the one that is the odd one out. Okay, this was a difficult one. I hope I am correct on this one. Almost all proponents of intelligent design have been theists. Now you're talking about proponents, then you talk who is advancing them, and their position is that they are rebutting the facts that are used to take forward the theory of evolution. ID proponents, you are talking about some new theory here. ID proponents such as Michael Bay promote theories such as irreducible complexity, which posits that there are certain organs and structures found in nature that have no convincing gradual evolutionary pathway and are very complex. I think sentence 3 is the one that seems to make lesser sense, and 2, 4, 1 is the sequence that I feel should be the one. Almost all proponents of intelligent design have been theists, arguing that the creator must be God. It could be 4, 2, 1. Let's start with this one. Intelligent design is advanced by many young Earth creationists who use it to rebut the theory of evolution. So we are talking about intelligent design theory. We're not talking about irreducible complexity theory. So this is adding an extra dimension to the whole paragraph by introducing this new theory, that it is not the intelligent design theory or something that is positing that certain organs are found in nature that have no convincing gradual evolutionary pathway. It is the irreducible complexity theory. Why do you want to add an additional theory when you're already talking about ID? Okay, so these ID proponents are putting forward other theories. I don't know, but this seems to take this seems to sway away from the central theme of the passage. Intelligent design is advanced by many young Earth creationists who use it to rebut the theory of evolution and, by extension, the facts that support it. Almost all proponents of intelligent design have been theists, arguing that the creator must be God. Then you talk about their position. Their position is that evolution through natural selection and physical forces is not solely responsible for the current diversity. I think 4, 1, 2 makes sense, and 3 is the odd one out. Though I'm not sure. This is a difficult one. This is a really, really difficult one. In an exam situation, I might even consider not marking this if it had negative marking. But again, I am confused between 3 and 4 itself. So in an exam setting, if I am doubtful between two options, undoubtedly I would mark any one of them blindly, because I know that probability is in my favor. No matter how pressure situation, how high the pressure is, how high the stakes are in an exam setting. I have actually done this. I have marked questions with negative answers, with negative marking, uh, on the basis of eliminating two options, and I've actually done that. So I know that if this was an exam with a +3 -1 and I was doubtful between 3 and 4, I would go ahead and mark 1. The question is, which one would I mark? 1 and 2 seem to be in really, really good sync. And intelligent design is advanced by many young earth creationists. I have a hunch that when you talk about their position, you're talking about young earth creationists. That intelligent design is advanced by these people who are rebutting the theory of evolution. This is taking things ahead of what they should be. Let's check the answer. I would mark 3, though I'm not very sure. Yeah, it is 3, but again, in an exam setting, I would probably falter on this one. So it's okay. You can see that in spite of a lot of confusion, we still got the correct answer. So most probably this is the correct explanation, that this sentence is adding an extra dimension to what the central theme of the paragraph was. This is not very crisp. It's not talking crisply about the central idea of the paragraph. Sentences 4, 2, and 1 do that. They convey the meaning and they form a good paragraph. So we'll have another video on odd one out. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to the course Verbal Ability and Reading Comprehension for CAT. You can follow me on this URL, or you can feel free to comment your doubts in the comment section. Let's get started with the lesson 3 on odd one out or sentence exclusion. You can pause the video, you can try your own solution. Let's see if the sequence that we find out and the odd one out sentence that we find match or not. Okay, so question 1. So, pundits in publications have been calling for the use of truth serum for interrogation of suspected terrorists. Okay. These drugs, which drugs? Truth serums. These drugs, commonly used in larger doses as anesthetics, okay, could be some other drugs, are thought to work by enhancing the brain's sensitivity to a depressant neurotransmitter known as GABA that is naturally present there. Doctor, a specialist, says that drugs have been used in questioning to disorient prisoners and to instill fear, but he does not know of any drugs that can force the truth to come out. Okay? Few problems today are thornier than trying to prevent terrorist acts. This looks like a good opening sentence, introduces the entire problem, and we're talking about preventing terrorist acts through the use of truth serums and all. Sodium pentothal, the trade name for thiopental, is best known class of barbiturates popularly supposed to act as truth serums. Okay, so the sequence could be starting from sentence D, moving on to A, that to prevent terrorist acts, pundits in publications have been calling for the use of truth serum. Then you can move on to talking about the specifics of truth serums. Sodium pentothal, the trade name. Then you would clearly end with B. What is sentence C doing? So this looks like a fairly easy one to me because the sequence is very clear. The sequence is D, then logically we move on to A, then we introduce the here we introduce the truth serums. Here we talk about some of the specifics of truth serums, that okay, this is the one that is the best known truth serum. And then these drugs, commonly used in larger doses, are thought to work as enhancing the brain's sensitivity to a depressant that is naturally present there. So this talks about the functioning. Now sentence C, what is it doing? It is, he does not know of any drugs that can force the truth to come out. This is adding some speculation, some sort of doubt, and there is no reason for us to sort of doubt. This should come at a later part, at a later stage, when something else, some speculation, some sort of an apprehension regarding truth serum has come out. This does not go hand in hand with the central theme. Even though it does talk about truth serums, it does not go hand in hand with the central theme of the paragraph, which is simply to introduce the need for truth serum and talk about them. That's it. So I think sentence C is the one that is the odd one out. Yes, that is the one. Moving on. Okay, steel production in Britain has more than halved since its peak in around 1970 to some 12 million tons a year. Okay. On March 29th, Tata Steel, Britain's biggest producer, said it planned to sell or shut down its British operations, prompting growing pleas for a government bailout. Okay. Britain has been a center of steel making since Henry Bessemer developed a method to mass produce metal cheaply in the 1850s. Looks like an opener. But the days when Britain's furnaces turned out over 40% of the world's steel, exporting it to every continent, are long gone. Okay. British mills, close to rich seams of coal and deposits of iron ore, cornered the globe market within 2 decades. Okay, so this sentence is talking about some growth, and sentence 4 is talking about a sharp decline. Sentence 3 is clearly the opening sentence. Sentence 2 is telling about some recent development in the decline, and sentence 1 talks about decline in halved since its peak. Okay, this also talks about a decline. So let's try to form a sequence, because without a sequence it's going to be, this particular question is going to be hard to solve, because I still don't have a clue which sentence is odd one out. All of them seem fine to me. Probably 2. It's too recent. Maybe. I don't know. Britain has been a center of steel making since Henry developed a method to mass produce since 1980s. British mills, close to rich seams of coal and about iron ore, cornered the global market within 2 decades. Okay, so within 2 decades of 1850s, uh, British mills did this. So we're talking about growth. And then we can immediately, this but gives me an idea that we can immediately talk about the decline. But the days when Britain's furnaces turned out over 40% of the world's steel, exporting it to every continent, are long gone. Steel production in Britain has more than halved since its peak around 1970 to some 12 million tons a year. Could be 1, could be 2. One of these two. Because the remaining 3 sentences make a good paragraph. On March 29th, Tata Steel, Britain's biggest producer, said it planned to sell or shut down, prompting growing pleas for a government bailout. Shouldn't it end with this? Because this is actually really recent. So you're talking about what has happened. But the days when British furnaces turned out over 40% of the world's steel, exporting it to every continent, are long gone. And then you talk about what has happened recently, because that is why you would actually write it. Remember what I said initially, that just think why you would actually write a paragraph. You would write such a thing to tell about a recent development and not about overall steel production going down. This paragraph would have been written simply to convey this part, to show the contrast that okay, British the steel production was so high and then it declined, and now it has come down to this, that the biggest producer is planning a shutdown. So that is why the paragraph would be written in the first place. I am still skeptical between 1 and 2, but I would go ahead and mark 1 as the odd one out, because there is no reason for us to talk about the overall steel production halving since 1970. There is no connection. There is no reason for us to have a discussion on what it has been since 1970. We're not ending at 1970. We're ending way before that, and if we're ending so far behind, we should be talking about something very recent. So probably this is the odd one out. Yes, that is the one. So again, this was a doubtful situation. On any other given day, I could have marked option 2. Right now I've marked option 1. But again, that is how verbal ability is. You are doubtful in most of the cases, and you need to understand why the paragraph was written, what the author was trying to convey, why would he even go to the extent of writing that paragraph whenever he would have written it. And that strategy has mostly worked for me, and that is how I personally approach a problem. So let's hope you enjoy the video. Thank you so much.